Now, as I said, today marks the start of English Tourism Week. Now, that's a campaign championing the sector and all that it does for the economy and the country as a whole. So what a wonderful chance to big up what Norfolk has on offer. Well, till next Friday, we're celebrating what makes this county so special to visit, as we put a spotlight on local attractions, places to visit and things to do. First, a thing to do on board an aeroplane. Curious Directive is a Norwich-based theatre company based in a church on Elm Hill. This summer, they're getting Gastronomic. It's a 75-minute show, which includes a 7-course tasting menu, all aboard the Airbus 380. The company is led by artistic director Jack Lowe, who joins me in the studio. It's wonderful to have you. How are you keeping?
I'm keeping well. Hello.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. Before we go any further, what a marvellous venue you've got going on there.
It's beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah, was it easy to get your hands on that then?
No, it wasn't. No, it took a long time. Convincing lots of people it would be a good idea as an independent theatre company to take over a space. But we're there now. So, yeah.
Was there much to do once you'd signed on the dotted line?
Yeah, it was pretty much empty. And one of the first things we did is we put a platform lift in and a lighting rig and heating, and that takes a lot of time, a lot of energy to raise that money. But yeah, we've done that now, so now we're doing lots of cool stuff.
Oh, that is fantastic, because what I love about the Norwich Arts Centre is that it just really lends itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's traditionally, I guess, somewhere where people gather, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And you can almost feel the presence of the people who have walked through those doors over the hundreds. How old is the church?
1446 is our one. Yeah, it's amazing that you say those numbers. I get a lot of Americans knocking on doors saying, "Hey, my ancestor is buried here," and all that kind of stuff.
I'm just trying to think. Planning permission must have been a nightmare every time you want to change a door handle.
Yeah, it's a whole world. But as you say, those places are they're so beautiful, and it's great to be using them in ways that feel contemporary and useful.
And community.
That's it, yeah.
So I love the sound of this show. Just describe how it all happens.
Well, it's as you said, it's a play with food, and you arrive in our botanical garden bar, which is the sort of the garden beside the church. And you make your way up to the theatre, and you sit around a ginormous oval table. And in the middle, there's a galley kitchen. And during the show, you're kind of following this flight, and you're following 3 storylines. And as you experience the play itself, these dishes appear, and you eat the food along with the story. So it's a sort of totally different way of seeing a play.
What does it look like? What sort of setup have you got for it?
Well, we obviously don't have a whole airplane, but we've got a kind of a slice of a galley kitchen of the airplane, and you see these 3 sky chefs pretty much preparing all the food that you would be eating. Obviously, the food we're actually doing is created in the kitchen downstairs, and they're not serving you from on the stage. You're sat around there, and the food arrives on a kind of baggage reclaim belt.
I like it.
Yeah.
How are you with airline food yourself, generally?
Well, it's funny listening to that Great Yarmouth chat, because one of the first things we do in the play is take people through the history of the terrible, terrible nature of airline food. So that is not lost on us. People think of airline food as, but in the 50s, airline food was amazing. Like, it was extraordinary, and even before then. And then what happened was, with the rise of Ryanair and places like that, where basically more and more costs had to be cut, and actually you see it kind of emerging now with airlines. They're thinking about that time you spend on a flight and what we need to have a better time.
That's true. I know, like some of the budget airlines.
Don't worry, it's not like that.
In the event of an emergency, when you need the oxygen masks,
right,
insert £1 coin.
And the rest.
And the rest of that. I used to quite enjoy airline food, strangely.
Well, it's the actual it's exciting, isn't it, when you're flying wherever for this kind of mini version of things to appear. And I think one of the things we're doing with the play is exploring this idea of class anyway.
We're
really interested in that, and we're very interested in The story itself is a migration story. So we're very interested in the movement of people and how different food ingredients have become to be known to be British, but actually their origins are from very different places that you wouldn't expect. And it's a very interesting way into a wider discussion about that stuff.
It just made me think. I don't do an enormous amount of travelling these days. I've sort of gone off it a bit. But when I did, I found out quickly, if I turned up at check-in like this, you know, a black hoodie with London Weekend Television on the front and a pair of tatty old jeans, you just go and find your seat. If you turn up when you've got a shirt and tie and a decent pair of shoes on, there's a chance they'll upgrade you.
Well, the famous thing is you say if you're a priest.
Is that?
Yeah, I've heard of that before. I've been bumped off the flight before and offered it was in New Zealand, and I was offered 150 New Zealand dollars something to be bumped off a flight, and but I certainly wasn't dressed very smartly then. But yeah, it's the Kentucky Fried Mouse thing, isn't it? It's
yes,
sort of the myths that pass round about it all. But yeah, so I agree. Maybe if you went in a shirt and a suit, you'd be put in to have your lovely meal.
And it's the same at security when you get checked at the other end.
Yeah. One of the storylines is at security as two border control officers.
Yeah.
I just make it super clear you don't need to turn up to this play in a shirt and a tie. You can just turn up wearing whatever you want.
Good point.
That's one of the problems people have with theatre, isn't it? They think it's a posh thing. It's you can wear whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, he told us on the radio. I heard Jack Lowe said.
Yeah, I'm in swimmers.
And what's on the menu?
Well, we're not sharing what's in the 7 courses. We're sharing the allergens online. When you go to book, you can see what of the 7 courses you can eat. But we can't. I can't say too much about it because it would be a bit like giving the story away, actually. But what I can say, it's a vegetarian menu apart from one dish. It's food that is British, but it has a very international feel. There'll be tastes and things that you haven't had before, for sure.
Who's cooking all this up?
Well, originally, when we made the show, we worked with various Norwich restaurants. So we worked with Richard at Benedict's, Sean at Shiki, and VJ at the Master Village. And now we're reviving it. We're working with a brilliant young Norfolk born-bred chef, Meg Greenacre, who was at Opium House and now lives in Sweden. And she's coming back, especially to cook freelance for us. So the chefing is really high standards.
How are you, just to the side in the kitchen?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up. I suppose you would say the stepson of David Adlard, who had a restaurant in Norwich up on St Giles. So I grew up above quite a smart restaurant.
Right.
So my French cuisine knowledge is very good. And I'm the cook in the house. I've got an 11-week-old baby, so she's not that interested in my food.
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment, no. But yeah, I love cooking. I've got all those books, and I like trying stuff, and I never follow a recipe though. So thankfully, we've got chefs who will do that.
That's good. I'm just a bit on the lazy side when it comes to cooking. I'm not. When I say I'm not brilliant, I say I can do all the basics.
Yeah,
you know,
roasting is for you then. You need to roast stuff.
Roast dinner. I can do stir fry lasagnas from scratch and make my own white sauce and all that. Just
make your own white sauce. That's good. That's not lazy. That's the thing.
Yeah, I suppose so. Absolutely delicious, the old white sauce. But I had some friends of mine came over to stay from the Netherlands, and one of them said, "Oh, I'll cook dinner tomorrow night if you." And we went out and bought the ingredients, and he said, "Just." In a polite way, just leave me to it. And when I popped my head around the door, I noticed that his prep technique was spotless, flawless. And then I remembered he actually worked in the catering department of the Dutch National Health Service. He ran one of the restaurants and did the hospital food there. And it's just the prepping.
Yeah. It's a real art form. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it's using space and using ingredients effectively. It's when you see it done well, it's really mesmerising to watch.
Well, I always go home with my tail between my legs when I see someone and see how it should be done. What do you love about Norwich and the county of Norfolk? Then?
Oh, I mean, this county's amazing, isn't it? It's one of those places where if I shut my eyes and I think of Norfolk, I think of the big skies off by Cly and Blakeney, and I even named my daughter Cly, as you know, and I think of it as a place where you can come and be fiercely independent, and that's respected. I think of the age of Norwich. You know, those city walls that are casually just sat there, and you know, you go to somewhere like York, and they're so protective of that stuff. And I think of Norwich being somewhere where it allows you to spread your wings, and there's a number of reasons for that, but yeah, it's a great place to live.
Odd you should mention York. I've only ever been there 2 or 3 times in my life, but fell in love with it instantly. And it was ages before I realised that's because it's like Norwich. Norwich and York were separated at
Funny
birth.
enough, I always call York the airport city, and what I mean by that is you can walk around the centre of York, and every single shop is a shop you would find in an airport.
Really?
Which isn't a good thing, is it? Whereas in Norwich, obviously that's not the same,
case,
is it?
no.
Yeah,
Definitely not now. So many of the big chains have packed up and gone or collapsed.
yeah.
So thank goodness for our independent traders.
Yeah.
Really is. So this sounds like huge fun. How do we find out more information about this and performance time?
You can just go to curiousdirective.com, www.curiousdirective.com, and so CURIOUSDIRECTIV.com, and then you can just book there. And it's probably worth saying you should book quick, because we have. Yeah, we've sold about 85% of the tickets already ahead of May, so it's worth looking.
And before the performance actually starts aboard the Airbus, is this someone who stands up and tells people where the exits are?
We play on that. Yeah, everything you could think of, we have thought about it. We play on it, I'm afraid. So yeah, it's on until July. I should have said that. Yeah.
All right, Jack Lowe, thanks very much. Delight having you in the studio. Thank you so much indeed.